Once upon a time, in a small town, there were four close friends: Sarah, Mark, Jessica, and Chris. They loved excitement and decided to try a spooky game called the Midnight Game on a chilly October night. The game's rules were straightforward. They had to write their names on pieces of paper, put a tiny drop of their own blood on each paper, and place them with a candle in front of a closed door. At midnight, they would knock on the door exactly 22 times, with the last knock happening as soon as the clock struck 12. Sarah, being the bravest of the group, volunteered to go first. She wrote her name on a paper, pricked her finger gently, and let a small drop of blood soak into the paper. Carefully, she placed it on the floor in front of the basement door, along with the lit candle. The clock ticked closer to midnight, and the friends gathered around in nervous anticipation. When the clock finally struck midnight, Sarah began to knock. 1, 2, 3. The knocks echoed through the silent house. As she reached the 22nd knock, a sudden gust of wind blew out the candle. The room plunged into darkness. The friends exchanged nervous glances, thinking it was just a coincidence. Mark was up next, and he went through the same process, pricking his finger and placing his paper in front of the basement door. They relit the candle, and Mark knocked 22 times. Again, just as the 22nd knock landed, the candle went out mysteriously. Jessica and Chris took their turns, and each time, the same eerie phenomenon happened. The candle would extinguish on the 22nd knock. The friends tried to laugh off their fear, telling themselves it was just their imaginations playing tricks on them. However, as the night wore on, they couldn't ignore the growing unease that had settled in the house. Unexplained noises began to fill the air, like whispers and faint footsteps. The shadows in the corners seemed to come to life, and the friends felt an eerie presence surrounding them. They decided to explore the house with their flashlights, thinking it would be part of the spooky fun. But what they discovered was far from fun. In the dim glow of their flashlights, they saw fleeting glimpses of dark figures moving just out of reach. Strange laughter echoed through the halls, and the temperature dropped, making them shiver with fear. Panic set in as they realized that the game was no longer under their control. They tried to leave the house, but to their horror, the doors were locked tight, and the windows refused to budge. It felt as if an invisible force was keeping them trapped inside. The clock in the hallway chimed 3 a.m., and the friends huddled together, scared and desperate to escape the nightmare they had unwittingly unleashed. They decided to finish the game, believing that following the instructions might be their only way out. Sarah lit the candle once more, and they continued the game, even though their trembling hands made it difficult. Each friend took their turn, knocking on the door 22 times. With each knock, the darkness seemed to close in around them, and the feeling of being watched became almost unbearable. Finally, at the stroke of 4 a.m., the last knock resounded through the house. The darkness retreated, and the once locked doors and windows opened, allowing them to escape. But Sarah was nowhere to be found, and the house had changed. It felt tainted, haunted by the malevolent presence they had summoned. The remaining friends stumbled outside, shaken and terrified. They never spoke of that night again, and their once-tight bond began to unravel. The memory of the horrifying ordeal haunted them, leaving scars that would never fully heal. As for Sarah, she was gone, lost to the darkness that had consumed her when the basement door had opened. The Midnight Game had claimed its first victim, leaving her friends with a chilling reminder that some games are better left unplayed, and some doors are better left closed. Over the years, the friends grew distant from one another, each haunted by the memory of that fateful night. They learned the hard way that some thrills were not worth the price, and that meddling with the unknown could have dire consequences. Sarah's disappearance remained a mystery to the town, but her friends knew the truth. They knew that they had unleashed something sinister that night, and it had taken Sarah away forever. And so, they carried the weight of that dreadful secret, a burden they would carry for the rest of their lives. A stark reminder that some games were best left unplayed.